Hey everybody, Wildman West here, and welcome to day 24 of Shocktoberfest 2021. Today we've got quite an interesting film ahead of us. Today we're going to be talking about Jordan Peele's 2017 movie, Get Out. Whew! This is a psychological roller coaster if I ever saw one. The movie is about a young interracial couple named Chris and Rose, and they're going to Rose's family to meet the parents, meet everybody. Chris is a little skeptical about how everything's going to go down because with his upbringing, he had to deal with a lot of racial situations that were pretty rough for him. When he does meet Rose's parents, her dad is very much, trying to do the whole progressive, I'm down with it, saying things like bro and brother and making references to Jesse Owens and everything like that from the 1940s. And you can tell Chris is a little uneven about it, a little unnerved, not knowing exactly. I mean, he knows that Rose's dad is trying, but at the same time, it's a little too much. And Rose's mother is a hypnotist and a therapist, or a psychotherapist. And she finds out that Chris has a smoking problem, or he's been trying to quit. So she decides to hypnotize him to see if she can get him to help him quit smoking. She hypnotizes him and puts him in a place called the sunken place, where you're unable to escape, and all you can do is sink back and watch everything happen in front of you. And while he's talking about his situation of not being able to quit smoking, she asks him a bunch of questions, and one of them happens to be about the death of his mother when she died, and he called the police, but he didn't do anything about it. He just sat in his room and watched TV, and that's about it. And these two situations of talking about his mother's death as well as being hypnotized to quit smoking tend to put him in a very delirious state. While he is at Rose's parents' house, he also meets the brother Jeremy, who is a bit of a dick, and he's trying to call his buddy Rod back home, trying to ask him questions about what's going on back home. Is his dog okay? Rod's a little worried about Chris and what's going on in his situation. While Chris is at Rose's parents, they have a formal dinner party, and he notices that some of their help are of African American descent, and they don't seem what he thinks is normal. They are very quiet, very to themselves, don't really talk much, and when they do talk, it's very much in I'd say in movies, the stereotype of between the 1800s and the 1960s. So that's why Chris is a little bit perturbed on the matter, and there's good reason why, because we find out that these people that are working for Rose's parents were hypnotized as well. They were put under some form of suggestion where they lost who they were. And later on, Chris finds out the way to break this hypnosis is through flash from a camera, and it'll break the cycle, and they freak out, and they have to be put back into hypnosis. Well, Chris soon finds out that all the people that have been hypnotized are being used in one way or another. Rose was dating every single one, both man and woman. And eventually they get hypnotized and get auctioned off to white people for some reason or another, whether to be a houseboy or a significant other, or sometimes maybe for parts. One of them in particular is an art man who is blind, and he needs Chris's eyes. Well, Chris is not going to have any of that. He eventually is able to outsmart the family and dispose of them very, very quickly. Now it's time to talk about what I like and what I don't like about this film. We're just going to talk about the elephant in the living room on this one, what I don't like. And it's not because I hate the movie, it's just I didn't like how it made me feel personally from the Caucasian persuasion. However, I understand why. I understand why it made me feel that way, because it's supposed to make you feel that way. You're supposed to feel guilty because of things from the past. It happens. And you want to know something? It's okay. I mean, yeah, I was awkward the whole time. Like, when Rose's dad started talking about Jesse Owens and, trying to make it sound like he was just, so into the culture, it was overbearing, and I'm just sitting there like face palming going, I know this is a movie, but thank God I don't act like that in my goodness, you know? I mean, literally, we are in 2021 now. We should be able to just have normal conversations without having to bring up someone's background. It's that simple. I don't understand why. I know YouTube is probably going to flag me for this one, but guess what? I know, it's just a movie. But you know what? It's just kind of like... I mean, in real life, I just sit here going, wow. This just... Are people really like this? I mean, answer is yes, and that's why it's... I get it. It's supposed to be a cringe-worthy observation, and you know what? Jordan Peele does a very good job on that one. So Jordan, tip my hat to you on that one. I do love the cast on this one. I believe that how you pronounce his name, Daniel Kaluuya. I'm believing that's how you pronounce it. See Allison Williams playing Rose. We also have Bradley Whitford, Mr. Eric from Billy Madison playing the dad and being very corny at best. Catherine Keener from multiple films, and most, you know, the ones that a lot of people know is Trish from 40-Year-Old Virgin, but there are hundreds of others probably. Well, not hundreds, but there's a lot of other movies that Catherine Keener's been in, and you know, she's phenomenal actress playing the mother in this one. We have Stephen Root, Mr. Milton from Office Space, playing the art gallery owner that wants Chris's eyes. One of the other things that I do like about this movie, with the social commentary of Rose's dad kind of being a little bit of an obnoxious idiot when it comes to trying to talk about cultural backgrounds. We also talk about Rod when he realizes something is not right with what's going on with Chris being at Rose's parents' house. He goes to the police and he starts telling them the story about Chris being hypnotized, and he thinks that they're going to be making slaves out of people, and the cops just laugh in his face. I mean, it's sad, but at the same time, it's a social commentary of like, I mean, like I said, 2021. If you know, I mean, nowadays, but in this movie, 2017, if somebody went up to the police and said somebody's hypnotizing people and turning them into slaves, do you think they'd believe it? Who knows? But in this case, it's a good social commentary where, you know, law enforcement does have to take their job very seriously, but at the same time, when they hear certain things, they probably don't believe it right away until it's too late. The interesting thing about this movie that I don't necessarily either like it or hate it, it's interesting because the concept of hypnosis or power of suggestion, it works for some, not for others. However, when it's used in this degree, it's a little unnerving. I mean, I myself personally watch and listen to hypnosis videos, especially for sleep, and sometimes when it comes to stress and anxiety, like most of us have, especially in our older years. I know I'm not that old, but you know what? Sometimes it's nice to help you get to sleep. You often wonder what might be happening in that video when you're drifting into what might even be known as the sunken place. And the way how they use that type of fear, that horror, that kind of insecurity that we might have in this film is well thought out, well balanced, and the payoff in the end is worth it. Now it's time to grade this film. Now, there are some things, like I said, that it wasn't that I didn't hate the movie, it wasn't at all. Actually, I really enjoyed the movie. I love the cast, the ensemble is great. Just the direction of the film, I mean, Jordan Peele writing and directing this film, he put a lot of time and thought and effort into this film to really put some points across about a lot of cultural differences, especially how people act towards each other, regardless of, you know, what walk of earth you're from, and especially how some people could exploit certain situations. And quite frankly, I'm going to be very fair on this one. I'm going to give this one a solid A. Like I said, there are some moments that I was a little, I obviously it was for humor, but at the same time it was just kind of like, okay, I get it. But at the same time, great movie. I mean, honestly, if I remember correctly, I think I read a review at one point or an interview where Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger himself, said this movie is probably one of the best horror films that he had seen within at least the last 10 years at that time. And if Robert Englund is saying that about a movie, it's obviously true. And you know what? He's right. I agree with him very much. I mean, this is probably one of the greatest horror films or psychological thrillers I've seen in a very long time. And I really hope Jordan Peele does another one. I mean, even whether it's he makes Get Out a franchise, or if he decides to go on and do more stuff in another realm of horror. So, other than that, solid A. We hope you enjoyed this review. Make sure you leave a thumbs up. Leave a thumbs down if you didn't agree with everything I said in this film. I mean, I get it. This is kind of one of those reviews that's, some people might find a little touchy, and I totally understand why. But make sure that you share on social media, but most importantly, push that little red button and ring the bell for instant notifications on Dragonfire Entertainment. Until then, I'm Wildman Wes, and we will see you next time for day 25 of Shocktoberfest 2021. Stay tuned, thanks for watching, and as always, stay scared.